Mic check. Hello, guys. It is me, Pramod Acharya, Master Teacher of Physics at Craft. So, now let me start the session. We had actually done measurement before, that is in our previous video, but that was just a sample video. And now we will be doing the real chapter, measurement, chapter 1 in physics. So, let me start the session. So we have improved our PPTs and now so that you understand better, let me start the session. So measurement, this is physics for class 6 to 9 and this is a general topic and few topics are for 6th and they are up to 9th. I'll be telling which topic is for which standard. Now let me start. So let me go through the index. 1 minute, pointer, laser. So I'll be giving you the introduction of measurement, what is a physical quantity, definition and their use, units, prefixes, instruments, dimensional equations. These instruments and dimensional equations are majorly for class 9th. Prefixes can be used for class 8 and the remaining are for class 6th and 7th. Okay, now let me start. Introduction. Quantification is the process of associating numbers with a particular parameter of an object. See, if think a boy has a height of 2 meters. So in that 2 meter we are associating 2 with a particular parameter, that is length m. So we are quantifying the height of the boy. So the height of the boy is 2 meters. So in this way quantification is done. Now counting is the first and simplest method of quantification. So in quantification, there are many methods, out of which counting is the easiest method. That is, you can count the number of fingers in your hands and number of students in a class or number of rooms in a house, like that. You can't count a large number of things like how many grains of rice are there in a bag. That is not able to count, and you should estimate it, or you should estimate it. So next type, so we have spoken about the first type of quantification, that is counting. Now let us move to the next type, that is estimation. Estimation is actually rounding off. Let me write something. Pen. So if a body has weight 9.98, sorry for my handwriting, 9.98 weight. If a cat has a weight of 9.98 kilograms, so we can approximate it to 10 kilograms, because 9.98 is almost equal to 10. Okay, in this way we can do that. Now let me tell you, that is known as estimation. That is rounding off to the nearest quantity. That is, if it's 9.98, you can round it off to 10, and if it's around, and if the in the decimal, if the number is less than 5, then you retain the same whole. Then you retain the same whole number. But if it is greater than 5, then you move on to the next whole number. It is simple. Now the next thing is measurement. Measurement is the most accurate method of quantification. In measurement, all the values should be taken accurately, and there should be no mistake in the values. So if the value is 9.8, you should take it as 9.8 only, and you should not round it off to 10. That is measurement. And measurement, in smaller classes, you can round off decimals to the whole number. But in higher classes like 10th, 11th, 12th, you should retain it in the decimal form or convert it to mixed fraction. Now, as you know, our universe is very vast. A lot of physical phenomena are we experience a lot of physical phenomena which are different from each other. In this situation, how many physical quantities does one need to describe the universe? So in universe, lot of phenomena are happening. So so many quantities are required to describe the universe that appears to be hopelessly large, that the quantities are too big and you can't even count them. It's like infinite quantities. To tackle this problem, it is important to realize that all these physical quantities are not independent. The physical quantities that are independent of any other physical quantities are called fundamental quantities. So, this is just a small paragraph to make you know the meaning of fundamental quantities. So, there would be a large number of quantities and we couldn't be keep track of it. So, to tackle this problem, these physical quantities should be independent of each other. Hence, these independent physical quantities are called fundamental quantities. And this is an important note. Note it. Only 7 fundamental quantities are needed to express any physical quantity. Length, mass, and time are the three of these fundamental quantities required to understand mechanics. Length, mass, and time are in the field of mechanics. Length, mass, and time are the major components. The remaining 4 fundamental components are not required. Sorry, quantities. The physical quantities that can be expressed in terms of fundamental quantities are called derived quantities. These are like area. Area is length into length. Area is actually length multiplied by length. So it is a derived quantity from length. So it depends on length. So if length changes, the area also changes. This is one of the this is why reason they are called derived quantities and these are called fundamental quantities. Now units. The chosen standard quantity with which other quantities have to be compared is called the unit. So you need not worry about the definition. You should just memorize it. So unit is your if you see it's a standard quantity. So for meter the unit is sorry for length the unit is meter and it can be compared with centimeter, kilometer, millimeter, megameter, etc. It is obvious that one has to define a different unit for each fundamental quantity. So for each fundamental quantity, there is different unit. For length meter, for mass kilogram, for temperature Kelvin, etc. Now units of fundamental quantities are called fundamental units. Units of derived quantities are called derived units. They get their name from the quantity on which they are used. Requirements for a reliable unit. This is very important and please make sure you note it down. It should be precise. This means the standard is available to the best precision possible technologically. So it should be accurate. So it should be the most accurate unit uh, which is possible in the world. So it should be accurate. Otherwise the unit cannot be taken. It should be reproducible. This means that it should be possible to make copies for people to use. See, before in France there was a unit of length called foot. That foot is actually the length from the king's nose to his hand. So we cannot reproduce the quantity. That is, once the king dies, we can't get the measurement of foot back. So the quantity should be we should be able to get the quantity. Uh, uh, we should be able to make copies of the quantity so that people can research and use. It should be invariable. This means that size of the unit should not depend on the time, place and physical conditions such as temperature and pressure. Means it should not change if there is any change in the physical conditions, that is time, place, temperature, pressure. So if temperature is increased or pressure is decreased like that, there should be no change in the unit. It should be universally acceptable. This is essential because the results of scientific experiments made in different countries need to be compared. So the unit should be accepted by everybody. Then only it can be a reliable unit, because scientific experiments are conducted in different countries, and if all the results are same, and then we can make the unit a reliable unit. System of units. So there are, like, there are a set of fundamental units is a system of units. So there are fundamental units out of which they can be made into a system. People in different regions of the world define their own system of units at different points of time. Some of these systems are the CGS and the MKS. FPS is also, I'll tell you the full forms. CGS is centimeter, gram and second. Length, mass and time are taken here, and for MKS it is mass, kilogram and second. And MKS is nothing but mass, kilogram, second, and FPS is foot, pound and second. So you if you just remember their short forms, you can get to know what are the quantities in them. And here the MKS system is regularly used. Now let us move on to the next one. SI units. So 1971, the 14th General Conference on Weights and Measures chose 7 quantities as the basic quantities. They formed the basis of the international system of units, abbreviated SI from the French name Les Systèmes Internationaux de Units. So in 1971, there is a conference of the there is a conference about the weights and measures, and they chose 7 quantities as the basic quantities. Note that this is 7 fundamental quantities, and these form the basis of international system of units. So these are the common units of everything. So 7 were chosen, and they were abbreviated SI units, and they were from the French name Les Systèmes Internationaux de Units. Now let me tell you: length meter m, mass kilogram kg, time second s, temperature Kelvin K, luminous intensity candela CD, amount of substance mole MOL, electric current ampere A. So these are the 1 minute. So these are the important 7 SI units, and these are extra units. So these are not so important, but you can remember them. 1 minute. Yeah. This is plane angle radian, rad, solid angle steradian, SR. Now let me move on to what is scientific notation. So from here, this is the 8th standard portions, and 6th and 7th need not worry. So any number can be written as a product of a number between 1 and 10 and a power of 10, that is m is equal to x into 10 to the power of k, where x is a non-zero integer, where minus 10 is less than x and x is less than 10, and k is an integer which indicates the order of magnitude, which is such a representation of a unit is called, said to be in scientific notation, the power of 10 is called order of magnitude. Okay, now let me tell the meaning of this. So any number can be written between 1 and 10. So you can take a number as so that is from 2 to 8. So if you take a number as 5, you can write it as 5 into 10 to the power of that is 0.5 into 10 to the power of 1. So that will be writing a number in scientific notation, where x is non-zero, that is x is greater than 0 or lesser than 0, and that we have shown here, and x is lesser, and x is greater than minus 10, and x is lesser than 10, and k is an integer which indicates the order of magnitude. K should be a positive integer or negative integer. This representation is known as scientific units, and power of 10 is called order of magnitude. K is called order of magnitude. So let me show you an example. 25 is equal to 2.5 into 10 to the power of 1 units. So this looks different, but 10.5 into 10 to the power of 1 is nothing but 10. 2.5 into 10 is 25. So these both are same. These both are same. This is very easy and you can do it easily. Prefixes. So prefixes are scientific notation makes the calculation involving very large and very small numbers particularly easy. The powers of 10 used in scientific notation are given specific names and symbols which are used as prefixes for the SI unit. Some examples are 1 kilometer. That is, wait, let me explain you. So in scientific notation, we can write anything to the in the powers of 10. That is very easily, and very large numbers can be written in a very small manner. So for each power a name is given. So that is 10 to the power of 1 is known as deca, symbol is da. 10 to the power of 2 is known as hecto and symbol is h. 10 to the power of 3 is known as kilo, symbol is k. 10 to the power of 6 is known as mega, symbol is m. 10 to the power of 9 is known as giga and symbol is g. 10 to the power of 12 tera, t. 10 to the power of 15 peta, p. 10 to the power of 18 exa, e. And 10 to the power of 21 zeta, z. And 10 to the power of 24, which is the largest, that is iota, and its symbol is y. Let me move on to the decreasing multiplier. 10 to the power of minus 1 deci, that is d. 10 to the power of minus 2 centi, that is c. And 10 to the power of minus 3 milli, that is m. 10 to the power of minus 6 micro, that is, this is the symbol of micro. Let me draw it for you. This is the symbol of micro. Yeah, this is the symbol of micro. You need not worry about that. You will be thought about that. 10 to the power of minus 9 nano and 10 to the power of 12 pico p. 10 to the power of 15 femto f and 10 to the power of 18 atto a. 10 to the power of minus 21 zepto z. That is small. Here everything is in small characters and here everything is in large characters except kilo, hecto and deca. And atto is equal to a and 10 to the power of minus 21 zepto is equal to small z. 10 to the power of minus 24 yocto is equal to y. Now let me see these examples. 1 kilometer, that is km, is 1000 meter. 1 centimeter is 1 by 100 meter, that is this one. This is centi and this is kilometer. And 1 millimeter is 1 by 1000 meter, that is it's here, and so on. I have already explained you about the tables, and now let us move on to the next topic. So this is particularly for class 9 and you need not lower classes need not worry about this. It is an instrument used to measure the length of an object, diameter of a sphere, internal and external diameter of a hollow cylinder, depth of a small beaker. Yeah. So let me show you the diagram of vernier calipers. So this is the diagram of vernier caliper and it has two internal jaws, two external jaws, one walking screw, one imperial scale, one metric scale, one depth measuring blade. 1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, I am back. Let me continue. Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. So these are internal jaws, this is external jaw, this is walking screw, this is imperial scale, this is metric scale, and this is a depth measuring blade. And there is one marking that is missing. I'll just tell you about it. This is the vernier scale. That is the main part. So vernier scale can move across this main scale. This is actually known as main scale, and it can move along this, along with these two jaws. And main scale is fixed on its position. You can fix the vernier scale by locking the screw. And there is also a depth measuring blade which is used to find depth of a cylinder. Now let me see what is it. Let me see the description of description. Main scale, it is a scale similar to that on a ruler, graduated in millimeter and centimeter on one side and inches on the other side. It is just a regular scale. The regular scale which you use in school, that is graduated in inches and centimeter and millimeter on one side. Vernier scale, it is a sliding scale that is parallel to the main scale and enables reading to be made to a fraction of a division on the main scale. Screw. Screw is used to fix the vernier scale on the main scale at any position. Jaws. The lower jaws are called outside jaws and they are used to measure the length of a rod, diameter of sphere, or the external diameter of a cylinder. The upper jaws are called the inside jaws, which are used to measure the internal diameter of a hollow cylinder. Strip. The thin strip is used to measure the depth of the objects like beakers. Okay. Now let me explain. Main scale, I have already told. Vernier scale is a sliding scale and it enables reading to be made on a fraction of a division on the main scale. Screw weight is used to fix the vernier scale on the main scale divisions. Jaws, there are two pairs of jaws, outside jaws and inside jaws. Outside jaws are used to measure length of a rod, diameter of a sphere, or external diameter of a cylinder. Upper jaws are called inner jaws, which are used to measure the internal diameter of a hollow cylinder. And strip is used to measure the depth of the objects. The graduations on vernier scales are such that the length of n divisions on the vernier scale is equal to n minus 1 divisions on the main scale. You need not worry about this sentence. Just to remember this sentence in mind. Generally, a vernier has 10 divisions and the length of the 10 divisions is equal to the length of 9 divisions in the main scale. Before we move on to screw gauge, I want to tell you something. So here the an object is placed and here the screw is locked and we should see which division is coinciding with the which main scale division is coinciding with the vernier scale division. Then first we should take least count, that is number of divisions on vernier scale divided by number of divisions on that is the number of divisions of 1 unit on main scale. Then we should use the formula that is to find the that is the diameter of the sphere or length of the rod or anything like that. This is a basic concept and you will be learning the higher concepts in higher classes. It is now let us move on to screw gauge. Screw gauge is an instrument used to measure lengths up to 1 divided by hundredth of a millimeter, and it gives more accurate measurements than a vernier calipers. So vernier caliper is just 1 divided by tenth of a millimeter and this is 1 divided by hundredth of a millimeter. It is mainly used to measure diameter of a wire, thickness of metal sheet, etc. So let me show you a diagram of screw gauge. So this is a screw gauge. It will have a main scale and here a circular scale and this would be hollow cylinder. There would be a ratchet for turning the cylinder and this is the baseline of the main scale and there would be a U-frame and this would be the stud. Here is the screw, this is the nut, this is also known as spindle, the edging part, and this is the U-frame as I already told, and this is the circular scale. Now let me describe each one of these. Description. So let me start with the frame. It is a U-shaped metal frame. To one side of it there is a long hollow cylindrical tube with a nut inside it. On the other side other side of it a fixed stud with the plain face is attached. So one side of it there is a nut and a screw is there to rotate and both have plain faces and on the other side there is a stud that also has a plain face. Now let me move main scale. The main scale is also called as pitch scale or linear scale. It is extended portion of the nut graduated in millimeter. The smallest division on this scale is 1 millimeter. So this is the main scale and it has and its smallest division is 1 millimeter and it is a part and it's an extended part of the nut. Now let me move on to thimble. Yeah, thimble, it is the hollow cylinder at the end of the screw. Thimble is nothing but this one, that is the hollow cylinder which I told you. This part from here to here is called thimble and that is just used to rotate the screw. Circular scale. The circular scale is also called head scale. It is the graduated head of the thimble usually divided into 100 equal divisions. The screw gauge consists of a screw. The separation between any two consecutive threads is a constant. The distance advanced by the screw when it makes one complete rotation gives the distance of separation between two consecutive threads. This distance is called the pitch of the screw. Linear. Yeah. Sorry, I just kept on reading. Yeah. So this is the circular scale. It consists of some 100 divisions, and it's graduated on the hollow cylinder, that is thimble, and it is one of the major components of screw gauge. It is used to find the diameter of a wire. Now, the screw gauge consists of a screw. The separation between any two consecutive threads is a constant. The distance advanced by the screw when it makes one complete rotation gives the distance of separation between two consecutive threads. This distance is called pitch of the screw. So if we rotate this screw for one time, then that is one whole rotation, then the distance it moves is known as the pitch of the screw. Linear scale reading, that is main scale, is the division on the linear scale which lies close to the left edge of the circular scale. Circular scale reading, that is the reading on circular scale which coincides with horizontal line on the linear scale. That is these both. Yeah, this is the circular scale division and this is the main scale division. Calculation and conversion of units. Any physical quantity we measure consists of two things, a number and a unit. It is important to note that the number associated with the quantity has no meaning unless the unit has been specified, because this number can be changed into any number by redefining the unit. Why? Yeah, so any physical quantity which we measure should consist number and a unit. We know that. It is important to know that number associated with the quantity has no meaning until the unit has been specified. Because this number can be changed by redefining the unit. So if we change the unit into any other unit of the same kind, the number will also change. While doing calculations which measure quantity, one has to complete two processes. One is doing the numerical calculation and calculating the units of the resulting quantity. It is important to realize that the units in a calculation have to be treated just like any other algebraic quantity. So if you are converting from kilometer to meter, then you should multiply by 1000, that is the calculation, and you should check it and you should write the answer properly in meters. Now let me move on to the last topic, that is dimensions. The word dimension has a special meaning in physics. It usually denotes the physical nature of a quantity, whether a distance is measured in units or feet or meters or furlongs, it is a distance. So if any person moves from one place to another, we can write the distance in units of feet, meters, furlongs, kilometers, etc. But the quantity which he has covered is length. So we use length, mass and time to specify are used in dimensions, and capital L, capital M and capital T are used to specify length, mass and time respectively. We often use brackets to denote the dimensions of physical quantity. For example, the symbol we use for speed is V, and speed is measured by V is equal to distance by time. Its dimensions is distance is L and time is T, as V is equal to L/T and everything is in square brackets. As another example, area is measured as the square of the distance or length, and the dimensions of area A are A equal to L square. So in this way you can write the dimensions of any quantity. Volume. As we know, volume is the cube of length, so V is equal to L cube, and brackets are very important, don't miss it. And acceleration, as we know, acceleration is velocity by time, and as we know, velocity is nothing but length into, that is t to the power of -1, that is time to the power of -1 divided by t. So you can write it as L into t to the power of -2. In this way we can do this. So as we are told in previous sessions also, we are in this Google Classroom. All kind of study material and good things would be provided. So kindly join the Google Classroom. For math, code is FUWJES6. For chemistry, it is 42ZXSHJ. For biology, T46MM3K. For physics, it is XW7PUOA. And for and general forum code is QYG4FX4. So I'll be sending this PPT to you in the Google Classroom. So make sure you can refer it and use it. So how to join Google Classroom? Go in computer, just click Google, just type Google Classroom in the Chrome and click on the link. You will get it. And in mobile, download the Google Classroom app. Click on Join Class and enter the codes which I have told you. And make sure and our channel is only from class 6 to 9th. So for higher classes, that is 10th to 12th and above, you can also watch these two channels, that is class 10 science and math and believe study. Please to subscribe and share their channel too. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any doubts, reach us at advatrishir@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you for attending this session, and we'll be coming up with more sessions. Thank you.